Hi everyone, and welcome back to our third in our series of cruising class. As you know, we love cruising. We love to share our passion for cruising with everyone out there, but there can be a whole lot of just noise and misinformation out there on the internet, and we're trying to cut through that with this series of videos.
Yes, we are. In today's video, we're going to cover booking that first cruise that you're going to take. There's a lot of choices that you have. You can book it online, you can with an agent, you can book with a local travel agent, or you can book directly with the cruise line. So let's find out how to do that. Welcome to Living Phase 2.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nancy, and we're empty nesters striving to live life to the fullest.
Our goal is to give you the best hints, tips, and tricks so you can live your best Phase 2 life.
Now this is part 3 in our 3-part series here. We'll link the first 2 in the description box below, but the first video covers just what to expect on a cruise ship. The second is selecting your ship, what is right for you. And now at this point, we'd assume that you have done all of your research, you have decided what ship you're going to go on, what cruise line you're going to go on, your destination, your budget, all of those important things that you need to know ahead of time. And now it's time to book our cruise.
Yes, it is. So now you have all that research done, you understand what you're doing, and you have that perfect cruise in your mind. Now the final decision before you book it, travel agent or no travel agent. And this can be rather controversial. A lot of people have some very strong opinions about this, and we're going to give you ours. So we think that if this is your first cruise or you don't do a lot of traveling, you really should utilize a travel agent to help you book your cruise.
There's really no disadvantage to going with one.
No.
So why not?
Exactly. And in fact, quite often they may give you additional onboard credits. They may have access to special rates that you may not be able to get with booking directly with the cruise lines. You might want to watch some brick and mortar local travel agencies have started to charge a booking fee that can add just a little bit of cost. Usually it's not very significant, but understand if they're doing that. We've gone both ways. We have a local travel agent that we work with. We've also utilized online travel agencies such as cruises.com, cruiseonly.com. Vacations to Go has great last minute deals if your travel is very flexible. They track all the price drops that the cruise lines use to fill the cruises at the last minute, so you can take a look at them. But if you do go with one of these remote agencies, we recommend that you treat them and expect from them the same service, the same things that you would get from a local agent.
Absolutely. One advantage of going with a local agency rather than an online one that specializes only in cruises is a local agent can help you with additional things such as if you wanted an all-inclusive, or they're going to be
cruise,
more, they're going to be have a broader just a repertoire of vacation and cruise ideas and suggestions to help you out. They can also book your airfare for you. If you want to do things before or after your cruise, if you're going up to Alaska and then you want to take the Alaskan Railway, they can book that for you. So they can do some of those pre and post-cruise adventures as well.
Exactly. So we recommend that if you're going to partner with somebody, because there's a lot of money you're spending, you're spending a lot of effort, time, research, that you do interview your travel agent, get on the phone with them, or if it's a brick and mortar, go in and see them actually, and ask them what their specialty is, as we said. Some agents only specialize in Disney, and that's what they know. Now they might say, oh yeah, I can book a cruise for you, but really understand, okay, but are you a cruise specialist? Do you understand all the different ins and outs and characteristics of all the different cruise line? If the price drops, will they work it and drop that price automatically? Or are they looking for you to call up and say, hey, I think Royal Caribbean has a sale. Would you go check that? Or are they going to spend the time to go rebook a cruise if you get a price drop? As Nancy said, what other services do they offer? Do they have specialists in all-inclusives, etc.? Do they offer extra onboard credit? Are there things that are bonuses you get by working with those company? And then finally, this is really important, whether it's brick and mortar or whether it's an internet agency. And this is one of the most important things of using a travel agency. How do you get a hold of them? If it's
Yes.
2 a.m. and your flight's been delayed and you can't get on your cruise or you're stuck
You better
somewhere,
have a direct phone line to
yes.
someone.
Do they have a 24-hour number that's an emergency number that you can call to say, I'm having an issue, help me. Help me
Yes.
get my flight rebooked. Help me get, rescheduled on the cruise, or if, something happens, you have to cancel your cruise or change it. Is it easy to get a hold of them?
Yes.
Find those things out, and that we recommend all of that when you're selecting a travel agent.
So now we assume that you have done your research, you have picked your cruise, you have picked whether you're using a travel agent or not, but there's a number of things that now need to come together for this to all connect and flow seamlessly. Now you need to know, where does that cruise depart from, because you're going to need to know where the air you need to fly into. Many airports do not fly close to the terminal. They could be an hour away. So that's something you need to know about. Florida has 4 terminals. There are 4 cruise ports. They've got Tampa, they've got Orlando, which is Port Canaveral, they've got Fort Lauderdale, and they've got Miami. So you need to know which flight, where you want to go to on that flight. And then you need to figure out, how are you going to get from the airport to the cruise terminal?
Exactly. Now, we normally use an Uber or a Lyft when we get there and we arrive. That can get a little expensive. So, as an example, an Uber from Orlando International Airport out to Port Canaveral is about $60 to $80. It's over an hour long drive, so that's, for 2 people, that's not horrible. But then there are other companies like GoPort that have bus service that run back and forth to there. So do your research. Again, ask your travel agent, how do I get from Orlando Airport over to Port Canaveral?
Right. Another one was when we flew into Houston, to get from Houston to Galveston. That's over an hour, and they had GoPort there. So
they have different cruise transportation to get you there. Which then brings us to the number 1 rule of cruising. Oh, yes. Number 1 rule.
Yes, don't break it.
Fly in the day before. You are going to be tempted that, I don't have to get on the cruise ship till 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I can easily make a morning flight and get over there. It ain't going to happen, folks.
Yeah.
You know from the news, you've been watching all the flight cancellations, all the issues. It's worth one night in a hotel in the area around and near the cruise port to fly in the day before and stay overnight.
100%. And not only that, being there the day before means that you can schedule your onboard onto the cruise at the earliest possible time, which could be 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning. Get your cruise started early.
As Carnival says, faster to the fun, I think.
Faster to the fun. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, to give you one example, on our honeymoon, we booked the airfare through the cruise line, which we will tell you, maybe one exception to this rule is if you're booking directly with the cruise line, because they will guarantee that you make the ship.
This was 35 years ago,
yes,
friends.
Exactly. But they flew us in the morning. I think our flight left at 5 a.m. And guess what? It was delayed. The connection was delayed, and we arrived at between 4 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon to that ship, and they had a bus waiting. We weren't the only ones, fortunately, on the ship and on the plane to get on the ship. They loaded us on this bus. I've never seen a van go as fast as that one, and they drove like mad. Literally, they had the temporary gangway on the ship. It was the one used in ports. They ran us on the ship, and they pulled the gangway in, and the ship left.
They did. We literally just ran right on.
So it's so critical that if you're booking your airfare not with the cruise line, go the day before. We can't stress it enough. And honestly, and just enjoy the relaxing day and enjoy going to the beach or something that's near that port.
Right. So it's the next morning. It's the morning of your cruise. You've got
it's cruise day.
It's cruise day. You've got a hotel near the cruise port. We usually choose an Uber or Lyft and to drive us there. We get there early and no issues then that way. But now you also need to think about your trip home when you're disembarking from the cruise, when you have to say goodbye to all that fun and relaxation that you've had. I would suggest don't book any transportation, or don't book your airline flight until later in the afternoon, because you could have delays getting off the ship for whatever reason. You've got to get from you've got to get from the ship now back to the airport, which could be, again, be an hour plus drive. And if there's a lot of traffic, it could be even longer. So don't add to the stress and book your flight too early. I would recommend afternoon sometime on that day.
So let's summarize. You've had to book these are the things that have to come together, right? This is like a war plan. And so you have the cruise itself and the dates of that cruise. You have the flight to the city closest to where your cruise departs from. You have to have your pre-cruise hotel booked, the day before your cruise, so don't book it the wrong day. And then you need your transportation both to and from the ship. Be aware, you can always contact the cruise company, Royal Caribbean as an example, and say you want, I think they call theirs air to sea. And you can say, I want my cruise, I want my airfare, and I want my airport transportations, and they'll book everything for you. And honestly, quite often their rates are pretty good. So you can certainly look at that. Or you just tell your travel agent, I want to go on this cruise, this ship, this itinerary, go get me the best price and set me all up. And then your travel agent, a good travel agent, should book your hotel, get things worked out, fit within your budget, and work all that. The final item that has to come together is not time sensitive as a date, but it's something I think of it as rule number 2. So rule number 1, always fly the day before. Rule number 2, do not skimp on travel insurance. This is something that a lot of people are like, it's like I'm not going to worry about it, or I'm going to book the guarantee or the travel insurance through the cruise. This is something not to skimp on.
We don't leave home without it.
Exactly. Remember, there's 2 things covered by, especially third-party travel insurance, and the first is trip cancellation or interruption. So if you get sick or your flight gets canceled, you can't make it, you're not out this thousands of dollars because you missed your cruise. It covers you on there. Second, and I actually think more importantly, it covers your medical, both the medical when you're traveling outside the country, because you may not realize it, but in most people, your health insurance does not work outside the United States or outside your home country.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and the second thing, medically, it covers evacuation. There was a recent example on Royal Caribbean. A young boy fell off a horse, and it was tens of thousands of dollars to get him evacuated.
Because you're evacuating medically, so they use a private plane for that. And there's just a lot of expenses that are involved in a medical evacuation. It's not just hopping on a commercial flight.
Exactly. So your trip insurance, which honestly for a 7-night cruise is maybe only a little over $100. It's not too much per person. It's certainly worth the peace of mind. And we've bought it all the time. Thank goodness we've never had to use it, but it's there if we ever needed it. It is very well worth it. So don't skimp on the travel insurance. We use Travel Guard, which is by AIG. Another one that a lot of people use is Allianz. That's an extremely popular one. And then there's some websites out there like tripinsurancestore.com. Steve, who runs that, I've heard very good things about him from some of the people that we know. That's who they use. And then he kind of brokers in different trip insurances.
Right, but do your research on those trip insurances, because we're not recommending a specific one. We're just telling you those that we use and that we have heard good recommendations from, but do your own research on it.
Yes, exactly. We're not insurance agents. We're not claiming to be. And as Nancy said, we're not recommending any particular one, simply giving you the options that you can go look at. Well, folks, that's it. I think you now have everything you need to book your first cruise, from planning it to thinking about the different options, what's included on a cruise, and that battle plan that has to come together of your hotel and your flights and your cruise and bringing everything together, and working with a travel agent or not, and making sure that you fly in the day before and get that trip insurance. We hope that this video has been extremely helpful. If it has, please reach down, just hit that like button and subscribe to our Living Phase 2 YouTube channel for many, many more videos related to living your best Phase 2 life.
Thank you, friends. We appreciate you, and we wish you the best cruise vacation ever. Take care.
Bye-bye.